on mute. Guys, we are here, we are live, and we are back. It's been about 4 days since my last stream, and I promise you, I have my explanation. Am I still on mute? I don't think I'm still on mute. I think you lot can hear me. No, I'm not. Yeah, you lot can hear me. You lot can hear me. Guys, I am so sorry for the lack of streams. I am so sorry for the lack of streams, but my explanation, and is a very valid one, I've had no internet. Sky internet, you are a disgrace. I've had no internet for 4 days. I feel like I've been living in a hole. In a hole. Of course, I still can access the internet from my phone, from my data, etc. But can't watch Netflix on my TV. There's so much things I could not do. And we are back online now. Finally. Just in time for the Crystal Palace game. So, of course, I couldn't stream after the Barnsley game when Man United put 7 past Barnsley. You lot are lucky I weren't able to stream because I would have been talking reckless. I would have been talking reckless, but we are here now. We are back. So big up to everyone that's locked in on this great Friday afternoon or evening. I'm going to be late for football. I got football at 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock right now. I got football at 6. So I need to apologize to my teammates that I'm going to be late. But big up to everyone that's locked in. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. I feel like we have quite a bit to talk about because I haven't been able to stream, but I've been watching people's streams, people's content, etc. So I've been keeping up with the world of Manchester United football news. Tomorrow is a big one. Why? Because Man United women are back, but also Manchester United take that trip to Selhurst Park, which we are going to preview in this stream today. I'm seeing some madness, some badness, and a whole heap of interesting opinions about the starting lineup, who should start, who shouldn't, predictions, etc., etc. So we're going to talk about all of that tomorrow morning, 11:45 a.m. UK time. We have the first watch along of the women's season. Now, I know some of you guys might not watch the women's team, but I promise you, this is the best time to get into women's football. We have such a great team this season. I'm really excited for the season. And we play West Ham women at Old Trafford tomorrow. I'll be live at 11:45 a.m. 11:45 a.m. Kickoff is at 12. And guess what, guys? You can watch the game live on YouTube. So all you have to do is slap YouTube on one tab and slap my watch along on the other tab. You can watch the game for free on YouTube. So make sure you lot come through. I think West Ham versus Chelsea men is at the same time. So I might have that on in the background, but the sole purpose of the watch along is for Manchester United women. And then obviously 5:30 tomorrow, we've got a trip at Selhurst Park for Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. Minna's state of mind will be probably Saturday night, maybe around 8-9 o'clock, because I'm on the match view tomorrow. But as always as well, there will be 5 in 5 straight after the game or within an hour or two after the game. So big up to everyone. Listen, Jarvis says, have to admit I'm getting giddy. Just bought Rashford for my fantasy team. My fantasy team earlier today, and I put Ahmad in. I'm not gonna lie, I did not put Rashford in. I put Ahmad in because if there's anyone that's gonna score or get an assist tomorrow, I think it will come from Ahmad. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Quickly on FPL, I had to use my wild card. I had to use my wild card because my team was a hot bag of ass. I'm like bottom of all my tables, and one thing I can't be is bottom of the table in my family league. So I put Ahmad and I got Mazraoui. But I got Mateta. I've always had Mateta, so I never put him in just for this week. I've always had Mateta in my team. I hope he doesn't score, personally. I wouldn't mind getting 0 or 2 points for him. But we're going to obviously get into the game and talk about returns, injuries. I'm seeing quite a few players back. So you know what? What better way to start than if we start with this guy right here? You know, one thing I've realized, guys, I have never seen Marcel and Malacia in the same room. So you see how Malacia is back now from injury? I haven't heard from Marcel lately. I'm just saying, that is just my conspiracy theory. But Malacia is back, not fully back in training per se, but he is back in non-contact training. So he was tuned in. He was tuned in today in the training session, but he was just there to do rondos, and they were doing one-touch passing kind of thing. He's not taking part in contact training, but I think that he is not that far away. I don't think he's that far away. And this is the funny thing, guys. He hasn't played or trained with Manchester United for nearly 14 months, and he's still back before Luke Shaw. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Anthony says, does anyone think that United fan base has gone from overly gloomy to overly positive in 1 week? You know what's funny? That is football. You know how reactionary football is. One thing I realized, guys, right? When I film content after a game, I'm probably my most emotional after the game. When I did the Liverpool 5 things we learned after the game, I did it the next day. So I feel like I got to take a step away from the emotional side of it and actually analyze what went wrong. Had I recorded that video straight after the game, it would have been a head loss. So I think football is very reactionary, and there's nothing wrong, can I say, with fans being reactionary. I actually don't think there's anything wrong with it. At the end of the day, we are humans. So of course, a lot of our reactions are emotionally driven. Manchester United have scored 10 goals in 2 games. Man United fans have every right to get, I would say excited, not giddy. The term giddy is a bit too much, but I would say positive is definitely an emotion that United fans should feel. Of course, if the result tomorrow at Manchester at Selhurst Park does not go the way that we want it to go, it's not that difficult for us to end up back where we started before a couple of weeks ago. But I'm hoping that will not be the case. And kind of, I said over the last couple of weeks, I said the best time for Manchester United to get any sort of form would be in September, because September's games are a lot more, I would say, relatively easier than the games that are waiting for us in October, especially with the number of away games waiting for us in October. Of course, Man United have played a few home games in September, but in October they've got multiple Europa League games away. They've got, Aston Villa away, West Ham away. So for me, it's very important that Manchester United gain some sort of momentum. If Man United go on a winning streak in September, I feel a lot more optimistic going into October. And I say this all the time, take every month as it comes, especially with Manchester United right now. Because, for example, that Barnsley game, I do feel like it is an anomaly because of the opponent. I would say that, and no disrespect to Barnsley, but you could see the huge margin in gap between the two teams. You could see it. Delgray says, "Salaam alaikum wa alaikum assalam." I hope you're doing well. But yeah, you can see the big margin of gap. So I think Crystal Palace tomorrow will not be like Barnsley, and I don't think it will be much like Southampton. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the talent in Crystal Palace is a lot more evident than Southampton, right? And I feel like with the opportunities that Southampton had it fallen to a team like Crystal Palace, I think it's more than likely than not they would cause an issue in comparison to what Southampton failed to do. So this matchup against Crystal Palace, I think, has come at quite a convenient time. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it's come at a bit of a convenient time because Manchester United have played, I don't want to say weaker opponents, but they've played like teams that they have dominated against. So they're coming into this game a lot more kind of optimistic. But that's the first return that we have back on the training field. And another return that we got in the training field who will actually potentially be available for the fixture tomorrow is, ta-da, Mason Mount and Rasmus Højlund, both of whom, Rasmus Højlund we have not really seen this season. Mason Mount, we've seen him a few games, and then he went away injured again. Now, I'm seeing wildness. This is why I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm seeing madness and badness, because I'm seeing madness and badness when it comes to these two, because people are saying we should throw them into the starting lineup. Since when did we do that? Since when do we just throw players into the starting lineup after they come back from injury, unless they are the most important player in the team? And there's no one that Man United has done that with. I am absolutely happy with these two being on the bench tomorrow. I'm Gucci with that. I'm not going to lie. I think especially Rasmus Højlund, who is probably not that match fit. He hasn't played much. Let's keep that in mind. He's not played much since the Euros. And Mason Mount, for me, he does make a little bit of a difference in terms of mobility in our midfield. But equally, I'm very hesitant to start him off the back of an injury, because what if he gets injured again? That is the thought process that I've kind of got. But Erik ten Hag spoke about both of them today and said, we have so many games in this block to cover, so I'm very, very happy. We have to make the final call. They did a couple in training, and we have to see how they recover, and tomorrow we'll make the final call. So that is basically today. Today, they are going to make the call as to whether they will be in the squad or not. Now, let's talk about the Palace game, guys. Let's talk about the Palace game. Because the last time we went to Selhurst Park, boy, oh boy, it was a shit show. Excuse my language, but it was a horrible, horrible game. And I will do anything right now for that not to happen, for that to not be a repeat. Now, I feel like as a team, because of the last couple games, mentally, I think Man United are definitely in a better place than what they were, going into the Palace game. I think the run of the last couple months of the season it became negative. And every game, United were shitting themselves going into it. And it was no different at Selhurst Park. Now, Palace are missing quite a few players. Let's just keep that in mind. Palace are equally missing some very key players. I think Manchester United, when it comes to who has more players available, I think it's Manchester United. I think Erik ten Hag has more players available. If we look at who they're missing exactly, they are missing Trevor Chalobah, who's out injured. They are also missing Chadi Riyad, who's out injured as well. And I think a big miss for them is Decore. Decore is expected to be out. So they've got some big players missing. They've actually got some important players, I would say, to the team missing. But they still got Eddie Nketiah. They got Mateta. They've got Eze. They got Wharton. Like they still got a very good team. They've lost players in that back line. They've lost people like Anderson, who I thought was good, but they still got other talent, including Tyreek Mitchell, which I'm very excited to see that matchup of whoever starts on Man United's right hand side against Tyreek Mitchell. Now we know what they've historically played. I think they've played 3-5-2. I don't know if their shape has changed completely, but they've also managed to take points off Chelsea. In the last, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, they took a draw against them. So Palace, I would say, are still a threat. But I don't see why Manchester United should not be in a better place mentally to believe that they can go there and get a result. Now, Man United's away record speaks for itself, right? The away record under Erik ten Hag speaks for itself. I think it's pretty much balance. I think Man United have lost the same number of games that they've won away under Erik ten Hag, and we know what happened last season. We know what happened last season. Just generally playing from away from home, but also against Crystal Palace. Now, Manchester United for me are going into this game, in my personal opinion, the best of form so far this season. Going into the Fulham game, I feel like it was very. We don't know what we're going to get. Going into the Brighton game, people were optimistic, but still skeptical because it was Brighton who is our kryptonite sometimes. And then it was off the back of a 1-0, very unconvincing win against Fulham. And I feel like going into each game so far this season, all that has happened over the last couple of games is the confidence has built up. Internet's back. It's back. Sky couldn't hold me back. They could hold me back. And they did exactly that. I actually need to get a new Wi-Fi box for my studio, just solely for my studio. But big up to Lil Yo-Yo. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe as well. Guys, if you do not like the video, you're a disgrace, right? And I tell you why. Because I am late. I'm missing the first hour of my football session to stream. It don't get any realer than that. So make sure you hit the like button as well. But I'm feeling, like I said, quite optimistic going into this game. I'm not confident, but I'm optimistic because I feel like Man United are in a lot better form over the last 2 games. Like I said, despite the fact that the opponents over the last 2 games are not really Real Madrid or Barcelona or something, but they are still. Those are still games, and those are still games that, for example, Barnsley, Manchester United dominated. And let's quickly actually speak about that Barnsley game because I never got the chance to do a stream after the game. But for me, Marcus Rashford getting on the score sheet, guys. I'm not gonna go and be like Marcus Rashford's back, he's back. But I've been saying, guys, just be patient with him. You lot in the chat. Some people in the chat accuse me of defending him too much, but I'm really happy to see him get on the score sheet because that one goal against Southampton can unlock a little bit of confidence. And then the 2 goals against Barnsley can unlock a little bit more confidence. For me, Garnacho is flying. Garnacho is flying right now. And I hope he continues to do that. But one thing that I hate, right? There's a song line. I can't remember who's the song. I think it might be Drake, might be Kanye. I can't remember. But the line is, they act like 2 legends can't coexist. And I'm going to flip that a little bit and say, they act like 2 good players cannot coexist. Why is it when we're speaking about Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad, etc., it's like only 2 of them can play the 90 minutes? Why can't we talk about who starts and who comes off the bench in a role-playing position? Why can't we talk about that? Whenever we speak about stuff, we always say, oh, no, Garnacho is not better than Ahmad, or Ahmad is not better than Garnacho. No one's saying that. But we have to understand the situation of the game, the opponent, who's better off starting. For example, when Ahmad was dropped against Garnacho against Liverpool, I understood why Erik ten Hag did that. I understood it, but I didn't agree with it, but I understood it. I hate the fact that people act like 2 players or 3 players or 4. Like, if Man United have 4 great options to pick from on the wing, that's better for us, guys. That is really, really better for us. So going into tomorrow's game, I'm not going to lie. If Ahmad starts, okay, cool. If Garnacho starts, okay, cool. If Rashford starts on the left, okay, cool. These are all players that I feel like are slowly picking up form. So if they've earned the right to play, all right, bet. Garnacho, for me, he's in great form right now. One thing I really like about Garnacho, and I hope he doesn't kind of bite away from this, and I feel like last season he actually kind of did, is the fearlessness. You know, when young players, you look at Lamine Yamal right now, right? Lamine Yamal plays football like he's fearless. He don't fear anybody. He doesn't fear the instructions from the manager. He doesn't fear, the opponent. He doesn't fear his own teammates. He does not fear anyone. And I want Garnacho to play like that, to continue playing like that. Because right now, when Garnacho is playing and he's going for goal and he's actually making more proactive efforts to find the pass, he's playing football like he don't fear anyone. And that's how you want your footballers to play. Marcus Rashford, the same. Amad Diallo, the same. You play football on a regular. I try my best to. Streaming kind of messes up the kind of rotation of it. But we normally play football 2 or 3 times a week. It was because it felt like Ten Hag had a bias last season towards Rashford and Garnacho in poor form. I mean, last season, up until about January, February, there wasn't really any other winger options except for Anthony. And I'm going to quickly on Anthony, guys, right? I don't want to pick him out of a crop. But if there's anything that I learned from the Barnsley match, and I knew it already, but if there's anything that kind of clarified or confirmed something for me, Anthony cannot play for Manchester United. Because how can you look like the weakest player against a team like Barnsley out of the starting 11? He, bar the penalty that he got, and good on him for winning that penalty, and good on Casemiro for actually giving him, taking the ball off Rashford to give it to Anthony, because he needed it. He needed the confidence. But outside of that, I don't think he did anything. And if he continues to be the bottom of the pecking order for the winger spots, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I think it's kind of proven. I do think it's kind of proven. If Rashford scores tomorrow, I guarantee you he'll bang 20 goals all comps this season. I mean, I said at the beginning of the season, Rashford will score 25 goals all competitions. That was my prediction. Am I sticking with that? I'm still sticking with that. But I should actually pay more respect to Garnacho and, increase the prediction that I had for Garnacho. Because my prediction, I don't think I made a prediction, but I did say that Garnacho would have 10 or so goal contributions. Now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, actually, he could actually have more than that. I think he's already on 7 right now, or he's on 6. I think he's on 6 or 7. So he could definitely get more than that. I definitely think he could get more than that. But let's actually talk about the players. Let's talk about the players, because let's start with this guy. Actually, there is no reason for me why Joshua Zirkzee should not start up top. For me, there's no reason why Joshua Zirkzee should not start up top. The way that he links the play will bring out the best in your wingers. And I said this coming into the season, that is what I felt like he would offer to Manchester United. And I said players like Garnacho, Ahmad, Rashford would eat. Now, one particular link-up that I really enjoy watching, and we've seen it time and time again, guys, is the Zirkzee, Ahmad, Mazraoui, Maino kind of link-up. These are 4 players, can I say, that don't require a lot of touches on the ball. They can very much do the whole pass and move in system, which it works well. It definitely works well. And for me, if there's anybody that will flourish in those kind of situations, it's players that don't require a lot of touches. If it's no disrespect to Bruno, but if Bruno gets involved in that shift of play, if it's the 4 of those guys, he will ruin it. He will ruin that possession, because he cannot take minimal touches to progress the ball forward. And we've seen it so many times on the right-hand side. I've seen it so many times. And one thing that Joshua Zirkzee's presence, I would say, allows other players to do is it gives them space. It gives them options of places to run into. One thing I liked about the starting lineup or against Barnsley in particular, where Rashford was playing through the middle, I like the fact that Rashford was able to interchange. He was able to go far right. That's where he got his first goal from, on the right-hand side. Garnacho was able to go central. They were able to interchange, and I like to see that. I feel like that's a more fluid front line than maybe a very static one where everybody stays in their position. And Joshua Zirkzee playing allows the players to also be fluid in their positions and maybe, shift a little centrally, because if Rashford today shifts centrally while Joshua Zirkzee kind of drops to link up, Bruno can shift out to the left, which we've seen that kind of stuff. So anyone that's putting someone else up top in their starting team instead of Zirkzee, I don't know what you're on. Personally, I do not know what you're on, but whatever you're on, keep it far away from me. I'm happy to see Zirkzee play. Like I said in my video after the Southampton game, the goals, they will come in due time, right? When Rasmus Højlund failed to hit the back of the net until, what was it, Boxing Day in the Premier League, everybody said be patient, be calm. Obviously, he's a bit younger than Zirkzee, but it's only 5 games into the season thus far. It's only 4. If I'm not wrong. Yeah, it's only 4 Premier League games into this. This is our 5th one. So be patient. Those goals will come in due time. But I equally appreciate, if he's not finding the back of the net, I equally appreciate Zirkzee helping others to find the back of the net. My biggest issue, I would say, last season when Højlund was not scoring in the first couple months of the season, was that it wasn't really creating other situations for other people to score. But if you're telling me that he's creating opportunities for other people to get on the score sheet, I can't be too mad about that. Because if you ain't eating, you're letting other people eat. And I think that's good. And we already knew what we were getting in Joshua Zirkzee when it came to, the style of play. Zirkzee will definitely start. He's not a perfect fit up front who will give you goals. His link-up play is good enough going forward, but Rasmus will give you the goals. It's interesting because, like I said, I want to see Rasmus and Zirkzee play together. That's what I have to see that some point this season. Maybe we might see it against FC20. Maybe in the Europa League we might see it. Maybe the next round of the Carabao Cup. I don't know, but I would like to see him play 2 together up top. But essentially, I feel like Zirkzee, if we played 2 up top, Zirkzee would be occupying too many similar positions to Bruno, and it might cause a bit of friction in that 10 space. But I would still definitely like to see it, because I think when Man United have 2 strikers up top, we've seen how many goals historically they could score. I already spoke about Garnacho, but just quickly on Marcus Rashford, I think, like I said, a confident Marcus Rashford is a Marcus Rashford that will allow the team to flourish. If Marcus Rashford's finding the back of the net, 9 times out of 10, I say Man United are benefiting from it. Man United are definitely benefiting from it, as long as he can find the back of the net. I feel like Marcus Rashford is more of a hindrance when he's not scoring. When he's not scoring and he's not maybe performing well, that's when he's a big hindrance to the team. But if he's scoring the back of the net, no one's complaining. And like I said before, a goal makes a heap of difference for confidence. Suddenly he's moving different. He's not really, his shoulders aren't tight. He's a bit more, slouched. You can see that, I don't want to say it, but the aura is different when he found the back of the net against Southampton. And also, for example, the Barnsley game, that chance that he gets, that first goal that he scores, he doesn't rush it. He doesn't overthink it. And I feel like before, especially the earlier stages of the season, in the first couple of games, he would overthink situations a bit too much and make the wrong decision. But that is vintage. That Barnsley goal that he scored, the first one, is vintage Marcus Rashford. Take a touch to kind of separate yourself from the defender and just rock it into the top of the net. Perfect. That is the kind of Marcus Rashford performances that I want to see. And that was coming off of the right-hand side. He could have took it with his left. It's not his stronger foot, but he could have took it with his left, obviously, if he wanted to. Apparently, that goal versus Barnsley was Marcus Rashford's 150th career goal. That is a serious stat. I was looking at a stat the other day, and he's like in the, I think, top 16 or something for Man United appearances. If Marcus Rashford was to stay at Man United, I think he would, if he stayed at Man United his entire career, I think he's breaking the record. I think he would break the record for appearances. He's on I don't know how much he's on. Was it 400 or 600? I want to say 600. I want to say he's on 600 and something appearances for Man United. Let me double check. Marcus Rashford. Oh, he's on 400, yeah. So he's on 400. So he could definitely, for me, get into that top 5 of appearances for Manchester United. But that's in the league. I'm not trying to see the league. That's in the league. I'm talking about all comps. I'm talking about all competitions. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, he's like top 16. He's definitely top 16. from what I remember. Yeah, so he's not that far off from George Best. He's probably like 1.5 seasons away from matching George Best, who's 15th in the list. So I don't think he's too far off it. For me, a flourishing Marcus Rashford is like one thing I don't get is how people could want him to do bad. Because like I always say, and this is not just applicable to him, but it's applicable to everyone. Even this is applicable to Anthony. Anthony playing for Man United and doing well is a benefit for us. So if Anthony was to start, I will support him. But I know that like there's sometimes people will be like, oh nah, I don't want him to start. I don't want him to do well. Hook him. He needs to get hooked at halftime. A flourishing player that's performing well, the team benefit from it. And I don't know how you can be mad about that. I really don't know how you can be mad about that. Now, I think I'm interested to see how Erik ten Hag or who Erik ten Hag decides to play in that midfield. Obviously, we've got Casemiro, who, iconically dropped a stinker at Selhurst Park last season. If you lot remember, I tried to erase from my memory what Elise did to him for that first goal. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Casemiro or Ugarte starting. Because I'm going to be real. If Ugarte starts and he's playing in the lone six, I can't see that. And I don't want to see that. If Ugarte and Kobe are playing together in a double midfield, a two-man midfield, all right, cool. Man United's best performances last season and the games that they won came from performances that had two midfielders in the middle. Historically, if you lot remember, or iconically again, the FA Cup final, we had two midfielders in the middle. If Erik ten Hag chooses to go with two midfielders, I wouldn't mind Ugarte and Kobe or Casemiro and Ugarte, given that Casemiro has the more advanced role out of the two of them. Because for me, Casemiro in front of that back line, when it comes to defensive duels, when it comes to, trying to slow down the opposition attack, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. And we saw little glimpses of it against Barnsley where he was just lunging in, mistiming tackles. Keep him the further away Casemiro is from United's goal, the better his performance is most of the time. And we already know that he can play that killer pass. We know that he can play a good ball. We've seen him, that the goal for against Southampton, the third one. We saw the pass that he was able to play. Now, throwing Ugarte into that midfield by himself would be very unfair. And I really hope, guys, tomorrow I can sit here before the boxing. I'll try to do a stream before the boxing tomorrow. But I hope I can sit here tomorrow and not complain about a 3-1-6 where it's a lone midfielder and everybody else has vacated. Like, for me, it's a given. You got your strongest players available, you go with your strongest lineup. I do hope Manchester United also do start monitoring Kobbie Mainoo's minutes. Eriksen will start tomorrow minute. I don't think he'll play after playing 90 minutes on Tuesday, which for me, by the way, guys, yeah, I don't mind Eriksen playing games like that. I do not mind Eriksen playing games like that. I don't want to say the lesser games, but the games where it requires less energy and United are expected to have more possession, play Eriksen. I'm okay with it. For me, Eriksen is a class player when you're not asking him to defend and you're not asking him to play deep. When it comes to the passing aspect, of his game, he's amazing. And we saw that against Barnsley, right? He reminds me a lot about when Juan Mata was starting to regress at Man United and he'd come in those one games, Europa League, etc., and he'd just ball out. He would just ball out. That's what Eriksen's kind of reminded me of. And you know what? Respect to Eriksen, because obviously Man United were reportedly looking at offers for him. And he came out and said, listen, Man United never told me that they want me to leave. If they told me they want me to leave, I would have left. But they made me feel like they need me for the next 12 months. And you know what? He's got a bit of a point in terms of what assets he brings and what attributes he brings to the offensive side of Manchester United. Man United were able to bench Bruno against Barnsley because we have Eriksen. I'm not saying that it will be a permanent decision, but that decision was there and it was available. Now, for me, the best thing is that for once we have a lot of midfielders to pick from, guys. We've got Bruno, we've got Eriksen, we've got Kobbie, we've got Ugarte, we've got Casemiro, we've got Toby Collier. We have a lot of midfielders to pick from, and for me, that will make Ten Hag's job more difficult. But he's kind of praised that in the press conferences where he's got a difficult task for starting 11s because he's got such a strong side. Like, we've been so used to having a weak side last season. That suddenly we got everyone near enough everyone fit and we don't know what to do with ourselves. Eriksen can't start tomorrow. I agree. I don't think tomorrow's the kind of game to start Eriksen. Like, for me, what would be your ideal midfield, guys? I'm not gonna lie. I would actually go I would go Kobe Ugarte, Bruno, but Kobe Ugarte double pivot. So neither of them have to do the job by themselves. I don't want to see Ugarte in his first Premier League start against the Crystal Palace midfield. I don't want to see him as a lone six. At least if Man United choose to play him as a lone six eventually, at least let him have a couple of games under his belt in the Premier League before you just kind of dash him to the wild. So ideally, I would like him to have at least 5 or 6 games before you test him out as a lone six, which I don't want to see that. But if you're going to do it, make sure he's got some games under his belt. If it's his first Premier League start away at Selhurst Park, then you have to put him with someone next to him. You have to play him with someone next to him. And that's not me criticizing his ability. That's not me saying he can't play by himself, but it's just I'd rather not. We know what the Premier League is like. We know what Man United's biggest problem is away from home. We know what the shape issue is with Manchester United. We know what the tactical approach is from Manchester United. So putting another player in that lone midfield, I trust me, guys. We'll just be sitting here tomorrow complaining about what we were complaining about with Casemiro and Liverpool. We'll just be complaining about the same thing. But for me, that midfield is Maino and Ugarte, Bruno in the 10. But I'm slowly starting to think Bruno will start coming a bit further down the pitch. I definitely think that. Minute, any live talk about women's team tomorrow? We're doing watch along tomorrow. No, the stream's already set up. Sorry, I just hit my mic. The stream is already set up. So turn on your post notifications. I'll be live at 11:45 a.m. UK time. The game is kicking off at 12. Manchester United versus West Ham women. And the game is live on YouTube. So I will actually drop the link in the chat tomorrow morning. So you lot can just, one screen have YouTube, one screen have YouTube. Obviously me on one screen and the game on the other stream. I'm starting to believe Bruno in the midfield is a problem. I would like to see a midfield of Casemiro, Ugarte, Maino. Listen, I would love to see Maino in the 10. I would like to see him in the 10. I actually wouldn't mind, guys. And I don't know how you guys feel about it. Actually, no, it kind of goes against what I believe. I was going to say 2 8s and a 6. I would like to see 3 in the middle. I would actually like to see 3 in the middle. So 4-3-3. I would like to see United play a 4-3-3. I don't know. Why does Man we've been playing 4-2-3-1 for how long? How long have Man United been playing 4-2-3-1? Because I feel like that's the only formation we have at this point. I remember we were playing it under Oli. For how long? I remember because I remember we were playing it with Pogba, and that's how I remember. So I don't understand why there's never a change in shape in formation with Manchester United. I would like to see a 4-3-3. Eventually, some point, I would like to see a 4-4-2 diamond. I wouldn't even mind seeing that. But I do think Man United, when it comes to games that require a bit more dominance in the midfield, I think Man United should go 3 in the middle. But that's just my personal opinion. Amad Diallo. Let's talk about Amad Diallo quickly, who's in good form. He's in good form. I said in a YouTube video, if you guys have not actually checked it out, make sure you check it out. Let me see. Can I drop it in the chat? I did a video of Amad Diallo, guys, 3 days ago. Make sure you go and check it out. I'm going to drop it right here. But in the video, basically, I said Amad Diallo is Manchester United's best creator. Someone was not happy with me in the chat for saying that. Somebody was not happy in the chat for me saying that Amad Diallo is our best creator. And I listen, I will stand 10 toes on that opinion. Amad Diallo is our best creator when it comes to creating something for himself and creating something for someone else. I'm not talking about just creating chances for other people or creating chances for himself. I'm talking about both. And I actually wish sometimes he would be a bit more selfish. I actually wish sometimes he'd be a bit more selfish, especially in front of goal, because sometimes I feel like he is trying too hard to find the pass, and sometimes the pass is not on, but he's always trying to find that pass. And I'm sure people must enjoy playing with him. For me, I like the fact also that if Amad starts and Garnacho comes off the bench and they're kind of swapped around, I don't think there's a big fall off per se in talent. For example, if Man United were to switch it up and bring Anthony on. If Anthony was to come on in replacement for Amad, I would feel it. If Anthony was to come on in replacement for Garnacho, I would feel it. But when Garnacho comes on in replacement for Amad and vice versa, I don't think the drop-off is that big. And that's, again, a good problem for Manchester United to have, because that means that, you could get 65 minutes out of Ahmad and then 25 minutes out of Garnacho, and both of them are, likely to maybe score a goal or create a chance. Garnacho equally, I have to give credit to Garnacho as well, because he's finding people this season. He's creating chances. He's getting assists. And I think the assists will begin to pile up for Ahmad in due time. I think I predicted for him to have, I think I said he'd have a 13 goals and assists or contribution this season. Maybe if he continues, the form that he's in. Like tomorrow, I'm really excited to see whoever plays on the right, if it's Garnacho or it's Ahmad, that matchup against Tyreek Mitchell. Because I actually think Tyreek Mitchell is a very underrated fullback in the Premier League. I actually think he's very, especially for the physical aspect of what it's like to be a fullback, I think he's very underrated. I actually think he's quite underrated. But I hope that they can do a job on him. Ahmad is technically gifted. He would do more on the right wing than Garnacho. I agree. I think both of them are good. But I think Ahmad will actually shut up Tyreek Mitchell tomorrow. But let me not say that in case I have to come back and bite my words. And last but not least, before we quickly get onto Crystal Palace, this guy here, tomorrow against Mateta, that's his first true test. That is his first true test. And you lot are probably thinking how he played against Liverpool. But, when he played against Liverpool, the style of play allows Jota to play as a different type of striker, right? It essentially allows Liverpool to play differently than having an out-and-out like Darwin Núñez, etc. Tomorrow, De Ligt versus Mateta. Please watch that battle, guys. And that's the battle I'm actually looking forward to seeing, because, there's this running joke about Mateta having R9 genetics and all of that kind of stuff. De Ligt will enjoy the physical aspect of the Premier League. He will enjoy that. And tomorrow is his first big test against a physical striker. There's still other strikers to come up against. There's still the likes of Haaland. We still got the likes of Solanke. We still got the likes of Isak to an extent. There's still a lot of dominant number 9s and physical number 9s for us to play against. Tomorrow is De Ligt and Manchester United's first test. And for me, De Ligt has to come out on top. Tomorrow, I do not want Mateta to win an aerial duel. I do not want to see Mateta. Who is it? He sat Casemiro down, I think it was last season, to score in that 4-0. Duran. Oh my God, don't get me started on Duran. He's got the most Adriano-esque ball striking ability that I've seen. Like, that might be a hot take, but honestly, that's my opinion on Duran. But for me, the battle of De Ligt and this guy here, it's going to be a very interesting one. And maybe I'm hyping Mateta up a little bit too much. Maybe I might be hyping him a bit too much, because I actually think outside of the top 6, he's not spoken about enough when it comes to other number 9s in the league. And it's not just that, but it's also the shape that Palace are playing in right now. I think they're playing they're playing Mateta up top and then Eze and Nketiah as 2 behind the striker. But very narrow too. So it's not wide 2s, it's more narrow too, because they're playing with wing backs. That's going to be a problem for United. And that's why I think it's better for United to play 2 in the middle in front of the back line, because that will basically shut off any kind of passing lanes and spaces to Mateta, or from Mateta to Nketiah, or Eze to Mateta, etc., etc. It would, for me, is because it's more narrow. United's midfield have to double up a little bit in the middle. And when you've got the wide side of the game, when it comes to the fullbacks, etc., that's when the Rashfords and the Ahmads and the fullbacks are meant to get involved, right? Then you can easily have a 2v1, when it comes to the fullback. If Crystal Palace are attacking and say the ball goes down the left to Tyreek Mitchell, you're more likely to have one person there in Tyreek Mitchell than actually 2 people. And for me, Nketiah, he's still a good player. He's not the greatest in the Premier League, but he's still a talent. And Eze, for me, I think Eze's got something to prove this season, because I feel like because Eze, I don't want to say he was snubbed of a transfer, but nobody really came. Like, no one really came to buy him, right? And the chairman of Crystal Palace actually said that. They said that they were shocked at the lack of expressions and lack of interest for Eze this season in comparison to Elise. They thought that they'd be able to sell both of them this window. So I actually think Eze will be playing with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to prove himself in the Premier League. And you know, people might be like, what better way than to prove yourself against Manchester United? I still think Eze is a good player. You know, the only team I think I can think of that was linked to him this summer was United. But then again, United are linked to everybody. So I would take that with a little, excuse me, a little pinch of salt. Now, my biggest worry is, let's go back to the defensive side. My biggest worry for Manchester United tomorrow is cutbacks or people at far posts. Those two, I'm traumatized when it comes to Manchester United. Now, of course, people have good ball striking ability. You know, you got Eze, you've got Nketiah that can get a shot off, Mateta, etc. I'm very worried also about Onana. And I was actually having this debate. We're having this debate on the Straight Jacket podcast on Monday. And for me, I think Onana's a good goalkeeper, but I just think that there's things that he does very unconvincingly that scares me a lot. And one of them is his shot-stopping ability, or to an extent, you know, the manner in which he attempts shot-stopping. That for me is a question mark. He does it in a very unconvincing manner. Why are the kids outside screaming again? Is it not? I was going to say it's a school night, but I was going to say it's not a school night. It's actually not a school night. But yeah, he does it in a very unconvincing manner. And tomorrow is a game, in my opinion, that you can't afford to do that, personally. You cannot afford to, you know, make a sloppy parry. You can't afford to get low too late. Because Mateta is slapping that into the bottom corner. Eze is putting that top corner. Onana, for me, if there's anyone for me that has to be on his A game tomorrow, it's Onana. Like 100%. Because we've seen the level of, like, for example, that goal against Brighton, the second goal, that's not his fault. That's a defensive flaw, in my opinion. But some of the shot stopping against Liverpool was not good enough. That was not good enough. So if there's anyone that has to have a 10 out of 10 performance, for me, it's Onana. And quickly, just before we wrap it up, predictions. I'm going 2-1 United. I'm going 2-1 United. And I say United actually go 2-0 up. I will say United will go 2-0 up. Palace will get one back in the second half. And then United will see the game out. I'm saying 2-1. I think it's going to be a bit basketballish. I actually think it might be a bit basketballish. I don't think it's going to be a dominant performance from Man United, but I do think it's going to... I say Man United is going to score in the first 25 minutes. Man United will score in the first 25 minutes. But we know what Selhurst Park is like, right? We know what the atmosphere already is like. Palace have been poor as well this season. I just hope we don't give them their first win. 3-1 United. Ridwan says 3-1. MU Short says 3-1. Uthman says 2-1. Tualumba says a clean sheet. I would love a clean sheet. But it's interesting. Everyone is saying that Palace is going to score. So there's no room for debate on that. We know Palace will score. It's just Man United will score more than them. And for me, I think this is the best. Like I said, this is the best time for United to get into form, because that run of games in October scares the hell out of me. It actually scares the hell out of me. Atom K says 3-1 as well. So everyone's saying 3-1, 2-1. Does anyone think United will do a smash and grab 1-0? I still, you know what? I remember one of my favorite, that Matic goal at Selhurst Park. Do you guys remember? I think it was a corner or a cross, and it comes out to him, edge of the box, 90th minute, bam, on the volley. Oh, that was a good goal. That was a good goal. 3-0 United. I told you about Spurs, minute. They're crap and we should beat them easily at home next. You know what's funny about Spurs, guys? It's actually quite interesting about Spurs. Why have they not figured it out? Like, why have they not figured it out? They've spent a lot of... Like, we talk about Ten Hag spending money. They've spent money too. Obviously, they brought in Solanke, which I think was what they needed. But even some of the other players that they've brought in, I'm like, why am I not seeing anything? Why am I not seeing any kind of change? Why am I not seeing any change? And Spurs just have it. For me, like, the more I watch Spurs, I think, yeah, they've got it in them to drop points. Yo, Mina, I need a favor. Yeah, go on. What is it? Message me. If you don't want to say it in the chat, just message me. But yeah, Spurs is going to be an interesting one. Spurs will be a very, very interesting one. They've spent hella money since Dan Levy came in since 2001. Guys, they spent 50 million on Brennan Johnson. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. They spent 50 million. Like, we joke about what we spent on Anthony, and no respect to Brennan Johnson, but come on, 50 million. Anyways, that's just my opinion. But we'll talk about Spurs. What is it, next week? Next week. And you know what's funny? Can I just say quickly on the managers, right? Obviously, Ten Hag has been a year longer, but the way that Ange speaks, you would think he won stuff with Spurs. He was like, I don't know if you guys saw the comments that he made, but he was like, I always win stuff in my second year. If Erik Ten Hag said that last season, yeah, halfway through the season when Man United were having a shit show, or when Man United were dropping points, etc., pundits would have kept bringing that up every single time, how the manager's cocky, he's this, he's that. And Ange I don't know what it is, he's very loved in the media. He's very, very loved. And I'm not going to lie, I like watching his interviews and that, because I think he's very straightforward. I think he's very direct, right? But equally, I like watching Pep, because Pep makes me laugh. Pep is so funny. After the Inter game, I don't know if anyone watched his interview with TNT, but he was killing me. Pep Guardiola is so jokes when it, like, sometimes I'm like, is this guy actually for real? I think it was after the Inter game where he was like, oh, I'm so proud of my team. He literally walked into the place where that they interview post match. He's like, I'm so proud of my team. I'm so proud of my team. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of them. They did so amazing. They did so amazing. And I'm like, yeah, are you serious? I don't know. It's funny. It just makes me look at what Ten Hag has to put up with the media, and I think it is blatant targeting. Andrew was rattled. He was definitely rattled. 1-1. Okay, so one person's saying a draw. I'm sticking with my 2-1. I'm sticking with my 2-1 prediction. And like I said, I think United is going to be winning 2-0, and then Palace will get a goal back. And then United will kind of just hold on to see the game out. We cannot replace him. That is one of my favorite sounds. That is one of my favorite memes to use every time. Wissa injured for a couple of months. They're lucky tomorrow versus Brentford. Yeah, I know. I had to take him out of my FPL. I actually had to take Wissa out of my FPL. Guys, I'm not joking here, but my FPL, I'm doing so bad. I had to slap my wild card on it this week. I had to slap my wild card on. But tomorrow, what's the schedule? If Kamada scores, I'll be pissed, because he's the worst signing of the window for any team. He's mid. Oh my God. No way. No way you think Kamada is the worst. Riri, I just saw your message. I will do that, don't worry. I love Kamada. I loved him at Frankfurt. I wanted United to get him so badly. I was so mad when he went to Lazio. I'm not going to lie. I think he kind of fell off at Lazio. But I really liked him at Frankfurt. I wanted him. I think he joined Lazio on a free. If I'm not wrong, he joined Lazio on a free. I really wanted United to get him. I like Kamada. I hope he don't score. I really hope he don't score. But we gotta wait. We gotta wait and see what happens. He's mid-minner. You can't tell me otherwise. Now, Kamada at Frankfurt was not mid. Right now, I'm not gonna lie. I ain't watched him a lot in the Premier League. I'm not gonna lie. I'll be honest. I ain't watched him a lot. But when I watched him at Frankfurt, I thought, yeah, this guy's good. I thought he was really, really talented. He was really, really good. But tomorrow, the schedule, guys. What do we have? Like I said, 11:45 a.m. we will be live here for the first watch along of the season. Manchester United women versus West Ham women. You can watch the game live on YouTube for free. So I will drop the link tomorrow morning on the stream, so you lot can watch it alongside with the watch along. I will have the Chelsea versus West Ham game on just to keep an eye on it. But obviously the purpose of the watch along is to bring back the watch-alongs for Manchester United women. So that will be that. And then Minutes State of Mind, I will be live tomorrow, probably about 9 p.m. UK time. I need to double check what time. What time is the boxing, guys? Because I know the boxing starts at like 5, but what time is the actual AJ fight? Is it going to be at like 10, 11? My cousins and that are going to it, so maybe I should ask them, because I don't want my stream to clash with the boxing. But I know that the boxing tends to start quite late. So if you know what time the boxing is starting tomorrow, like, and I'm when I say boxing starting, I'm saying the AJ fight. What time? Why am I asking you guys AJ walkout time? Why don't I just flipping Google it? Ring walks are scheduled for 9:45, and the fight's expected to start at 10. But it could change depending on the undercards. Okay, that fight is not starting until like 10:30. 11 maybe. So I will do a stream tomorrow at 9 p.m. when I'm back from the studio. Make sure you lot tune into the match view on UV as well. I don't even know what time it is. The game's at 5:30, so I don't know what time we'll be live. But we'll have Mina's State of Mind, obviously, after I come back from the studio. And then we will also have Mina's 5 in 5 things we learned in 5 minutes after the game that will be uploaded. Make sure you lot follow me on socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of them places. I am very, very active on all of it. Like down below there, you lot see the at is right there. Follow me on socials because I'm as active on them. Will I be live on Twitch? I don't know. I should go live today, but the thing is, everyone's playing EAFC 25 and I ain't got it yet. So I don't know. On PPV, yeah, it's on PPV. I don't know who's going to be showing it in America. DAZN. It's going to be on DAZN, but in the UK, I think it's on TNT. But yeah, there you go, man. That's the schedule for tomorrow, Sunday, God willing, inshallah. We should also have, who should I bring on Sunday? Who would you like to see on the channel? Who would you guys like to see on the channel? If there is any United content creator that you want to see, I actually have a question to ask you guys quickly. Big up Brian in the chat, big up Adam. Quickly, I just have a question to ask, guys. If I was to bring my family on a stream, would you guys want to watch that kind of stuff? Because my family want to, one of my siblings and my cousins, they're all women as well. They're football fans as well. They don't all support United, but they are football fans. They want to come on a stream with me one day. So is that something that you lot would want to watch? And if that is, let me know in the chat. Now, we've all got different opinions when it comes to football and everything. I was actually going to do like a Mina and Friends kind of watch along. So if that's something you don't want to see, let me know. If there's any particular content creator, tactico, all of that kind of stuff that you want to see on the channel, let me know in the chat and I will make it happen. I actually like you and Nuruddin. I need to get Nuruddin on. He keeps telling me to get him on and I keep forgetting. So you know what? Let me reach out to him and see what he's saying. For maybe Sunday, for a stream on Sunday. I need to get him on. I need to get KG on as well because he keeps saying, when is he going to come on? So I need to get KG on. But if there's any new faces, if you're watching this back, if there's any new faces that you want to see on the channel, please let me know. And I will make it happen. But anyways, guys, I hope you have a wonderful Friday night. I'm late for football, so I can get there in about 15 minutes and then play for an hour or so. So that's all right. That's not too bad. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Follow me on all socials, including my Twitch. And I'll be back tomorrow morning, inshallah, God willing, 11:45 UK time. Manchester United women, we are back, baby. Jarvis, message me. Instagram, Twitter, anywhere, and I'll bring you on. And vice versa. I'll come on yours as well. So message me. But yeah, guys, I hope you have a wonderful Friday night. And I'm out, man, guys. Peace.